Our next adventure is in Katmai National Park. We're flying from Anchorage to King Salmon on the Alaska Peninsula. We're flying Pen Air, short for Peninsula Air, in a Saab 340B. King Salmon is the gateway to the Katmai National Park, which covers 6,400 square miles. We check into the Katmai Adventure Lodge just in time for dinner. It's mostly overcast this morning as I look out on the Naknek River that flows by the lodge. There are no roads into Katmai National Park, so we'll be commuting to Brook Falls in a float plane. Our de Havilland Turbo Otter from Katmai Air is waiting for us. After debating the plane's air and seaworthiness, we load up. We buckle up and we're off. No in-flight amenities here. We're flying just under the clouds, following the Naknek River into Naknek Lake. We fly above the shore of Naknek Lake, which is 40 miles long and 3 to 8 miles wide. We land on the lake and walk the plank to shore. We're at Brooks Camp, home to the Visitor Center and the Brooks Lodge. The first order of business is to attend bear school, to learn how the bears expect us to act. Then it's across the bridge over the Brooks River to the lower river platform. There's not much activity in the lower river right now, just a magpie. So some of us decide to head for the famous Brooks Falls. In July, bears will line the falls, catching sockeye salmon as they jump up the falls on their way to spawn. Right now, there's only one single bear, who we will come to know as Otis. While we wait for more bears, we watch the antics of the mergansers. One will catch an eel, and the rest will give chase, hoping for an easy meal. Our patience is rewarded as one by one more bears visit the falls. These are Peninsular Brown Bears, a subspecies found on the Alaska Peninsula. These bears are noticeably different from the Sitka brown bears on Baranof Island. They are bigger, more muscular, and not nearly as shaggy. Some scientists argue that it's diet that makes the difference, and there are really only two subspecies. Males here can weigh up to 1,000 pounds. A ranger tells us that Otis is the king of Brooks Falls. He's about 17 years old and big. He has his favorite fishing spot and can be found there almost every day, all day. It's clear from the scar on his head and his droopy ear that he has fought for that spot. Other bears will approach Otis, but none challenge his right to his spot. In between visits by bears, we watch the birds. The gulls are making raucous noises, and the mergansers are on parade. The bears make a circuit from the falls to the river mouth and back again. Some will visit Otis. Otis patiently waits for fish to come within reach. And occasionally, he even catches a fish. The action here is so riveting, but we decide to say goodbye to Otis and head back to Brooks Camp. It's rained here recently and the mushrooms have popped up everywhere. The bears are scarce in the lower river too. We stop by the office to check on our plane. Most of the group have already left, but there's a de Havilland beaver that can take us. It's a bit cozy, but we all manage to fit. The pilot takes us over Brooks Falls and around Dumpling Mountain. Then it's back along the shore of Naknek Lake and to the Katmai Adventure Lodge in time for drinks and bear talk. After breakfast, our turbo otter is waiting to take us to Brooks Camp. We load up and off we go. The overcast is a little higher today. Hopefully it's going to burn off. We get to the Brooks Camp side of the bridge, and the bridge is closed because there's bears about. It's a mom with cubs. She warns off another bear on the spit at the mouth of the river. There are 3 cubs. Mom watches them very closely. There's a small cub, a medium-sized one, and a large one. Mom decides to move to the other side of the bridge, and the cubs follow her. The cubs seem to have found something interesting. The big cub tries to push out the little guy. Big mistake. The little cub attacks. Mom steps in to break up the fight. Only 1 in 3 cubs makes it through their first year. I'm betting this little guy's going to make it. Now for one last visit to Brooks Falls. If you don't see these bears firsthand, it's really hard to imagine their size. Otis is in his favorite spot, and his friend Ted is visiting. We can recognize Ted by the scar on his hip. There's still a few sockeye trying to get past the falls, but the bulk of the salmon run is in July. Now trout is what the bears are eating. Bears need to gain 20 or 30% of their body weight during the summer so they can survive the winter hibernating. We say goodbye to Ted and Otis and head back to the lower river platform. There's quite a bit of activity in the lower river. Some of the bears fish by walking around and waiting for a fish to bump into them. Some use a technique the rangers called snorkeling. Bears are naturally curious and will frequently stand up and look around. When the water's too deep to walk on the bottom on all fours, they wade on their hind legs. The weather's getting worse and the light's fading. On our way back to the lodge, we see our last bear in the Naknek Lake. We wait around the Brooks Lodge fireplace for our float plane. Only 5 of us are left to catch the plane. The rest were eaten by bears. Just kidding. They went back earlier. After a hearty breakfast, we finish packing at the Katmai Adventure Lodge. It's back to the King Salmon Airport. We board our Pen Air plane for the flight back to Anchorage.